Last time I asked, what was the first shiny Pokemon seen in the anime? The answer was Noctowl. Ash caught a smaller than normal Noctowl with a strange coloration which we now know as shiny in the episode Foul Play, which was his primary flying type during his time in the Johto region. Hey wait, what about that pink Butterfree? Actually, that's not a shiny Pokemon. While Butterfree's shiny form certainly has pink on it, its body is not pink like the one in the show. I do have an idea on why it's pink and come back next time to hear my explanation on that. But let's focus on today's episode. Professor Pokemon with everything you ever wanted to know about Metapod. Metapod, the Cocoon Pokemon, is number 11 in the Kanto Dex, number 25 in the Johto Dex, number 24 in the Central Kalos Dex, and number 18 in the Alolan Dex. Metapod is the evolved form of Caterpie and retains its pure bug typing, making its type advantages and weaknesses look like this. Metapod is also in the Bug Egg group, a 50-50 male to female ratio, and a medium fast leveling rate. Its ability is Shed Skin, which means that at the end of each turn, this Pokemon has a chance of curing itself of a non-volatile status condition like paralysis, for example. If it does cure status condition, it does so before burn or poison is dealt on that turn. Very useful ability. Metapod is 2 foot 4 or 0.7 meters and weighs 21.8 pounds or 9.9 kilograms. Metapod's stats show defense being its highest, and defeating or capturing Metapod will give you +2 in defense when leveling up. In Gen 1, its special stat was 25. Metapod is pretty common when found in the wild, so I'll just highlight the areas per region like I did with Caterpie, and I want you to just pause the video for your respective game. Starting in Kanto, Metapod can be found in Red, Blue, Yellow, Gold, Crystal, Fire Red and Leaf Green, Heart Gold, and Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. In Fire Red and Leaf Green, Metapod can also be found in the Pattern Brush, a forest on an island north of Six Island in the Sevi Islands. Moving into Johto, Metapod can be found in Gold, Silver, Crystal, Heart Gold, and Soul Silver. Moving into Sinnoh, like Caterpie, this will only work if you have an original Nintendo DS or DS Lite and have Fire Red inserted in the Game Boy Advance slot. With that, you can find Metapod in the Eterna Forest. Next region is Unova. Metapod can be found in White on Route 12, a very high-leveled Metapod I might add. Level 48? Then in the Dark Grass, level 58? Kalos region, Metapod can only be found in Y in the Santaloon Forest. Finally, Alola. Metapod can be found on Route 5, Lush Jungle, and Melee Meadow in Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, and Ultra Moon. Now, if you are playing regular Sun or Moon, then it can also be found on Route 1. Now, before you go out and catch your Metapod, I want to stop you right there. If you want my advice from a professor of Pokemon, just evolve your Caterpie. For one, Caterpie are easy enough to train and level up, but two, and more important, wild Metapod know and will only know one move, Harden. While that makes their defense good, they can't do any actual attacks. So that's why I say evolve your Caterpie, so it will at least know Tackle. Although if you stumble across a shiny Metapod, then go for it. Metapod's shiny coloring changed slightly over the generations. It appeared to be almost orangish in Gen 2 and bordering on pink-red in Gen 3, but since Gen 4 it's been consistently more red. Metapod is of course based on a butterfly chrysalis or cocoon. It seems to resemble the general shape of a black swallowtail chrysalis or a large white chrysalis. Then the thing that looks like a nose, you mean it's not a nose? That fooled me for years, as well as the side protrusions. Are they not ears? I thought they were ears for the longest time too. Resemble a polydamas swallowtail chrysalis or a pipevine swallowtail chrysalis. Metapod's name, if you break it down, you get meta, or metamorphosis, which is basically what evolving is in real life, and what we call the process of a caterpillar becoming a butterfly, for example, and pod, which refers to the pod or chrysalis that is a cocoon. Its Japanese name, Teransuru, you get Teransu, which is transform, and Seru, which is cell, and is likely a pun on their word for satchel. Its French name is kind of interesting because it kind of refers to the Pokédex. You get their word for chrysalis and their word for steel, which would be cool if Metapod was a steel type, although a steel Butterfree makes no sense. A lot of Dex entries for Metapod talk about its tough shell, some of them stating it can be as hard as steel. A steel-hard shell protects its tender body. It quietly endures hardships while awaiting evolution. The shell covering this Pokemon's body is as hard as an iron slab. Metapod does not move very much. It stays still because it is preparing its soft innards for evolution inside the hard shell. Ultra Moon even mentions it can survive an attack from Pikipek, a local bird of the Alolan region. But wait, what's this other part of the Dex entry? But it will tip over, spilling out its insides? What? Its shell is filled with soft innards. It doesn't move much because of the risk it might carelessly spill its innards out. That's really gross. Like, really gross. Its shell is hard, but it's still a bug shell. It's been known to break, so intense battles with it should be avoided. Yeah, I'd say so, if just tipping it over can spill its innards out. Almost makes that thick shell useless. Also, does this statement contradict the iron slab statement of the Ruby Dex entry? What do you think? One random observation I've noticed on Metapod is its eyes. In the games and artwork, its eyes are white. In the anime, its eyes are yellow. Speaking of the anime, Metapod makes its debut at the end of Ash Catches a Pokemon. Ash caught a Caterpie, and after defeating Team Rocket, Caterpie evolved into Metapod. In the next episode, Challenge of the Samurai, Ash was challenged by a samurai bug catcher. Samurai's pincer defeated Ash's Pidgeotto, and he didn't use Pikachu for some reason. He decided to use Metapod. While battling Pincer, Ash imagined the worst-case scenario of poor Metapod being cut in half. Really disturbing imagery for me as a child. Metapod quickly used Harden, which broke some of the spikes on Pincer's pinchers. Samurai then calls out his Metapod. This led to what some people consider the greatest battle in all of Pokemon. Metapod versus Metapod, constantly using Harden to out-harden the other one. The show indicated it took hours. Fortunately, unfortunately, a Beedrill swarm interrupted the battle and Ash's Metapod gets taken. Ash finds it and wants it to go back in its Pokeball, but Metapod was upset with Ash for what looked like abandonment. Ash picks up Metapod and runs away from an oncoming Beedrill and promises to never leave behind his friends again. Metapod then got the strength to leap in and tackle that Beedrill. While Metapod opened up in the process, Metapod got the experience it needed to evolve into Butterfree. While this episode shows Metapod evolving the same way real butterflies do, just hatching from the cocoon, later episodes show Metapod evolving the same way all other Pokemon do. In the I Choose You movie, an alternate continuity to the main series, Ash's Caterpie battled a Pinsir and it evolved into Metapod. He later used Metapod's String Shot to calm down a bunch of Primeape. This gave Metapod enough experience to evolve into Butterfree. Lastly, in the main series, as far as notable appearances, was Bugsy's Metapod. Bugsy is the gym leader of the Azalea Gym in Johto. Ash challenged him for a second badge in getting the bugs out. Metapod battles and defeats Chikorita, but was defeated by Pikachu's Thunderbolt. Notice here this Metapod was actually able to fight back by using Tackle, and it was quite fast. In Pokemon Origins, Red uses his Metapod during his battle with Brock. He was able to slow down Onix with String Shot, but was defeated quickly after that. Moving on to manga appearances, in Electric Tale of Pikachu, Ash caught a Caterpie in the first chapter, Pikachu, I See You. It evolved into Metapod in the second chapter, Play Misty for Me, while Ash was showing Misty his team, and then evolved into Butterfree in the same chapter during their battle. This Metapod appears slightly thinner than most Metapod. In the How I Became a Pokemon card, shows Midori having a Metapod, which he used in his battle against Blue, and lost horribly. In the Pocket Monsters manga, after the events with the Slowpoke, Red encounters Bugsy in The Hardest Insect Pokemon Wins. Bugsy sends out his Metapod as the first Pokemon along with his Kakuna against Red and his Clefairy. In Magical Pokemon Journey manga, a Metapod falls out of a tree and Clefairy comes through. Hazel puts it back where it belongs, then it falls back down again. In Pokemon Gold and Silver Golden Boys manga, Bugsy's Butterfree was first seen as a Metapod in Let's Aim for the Goal. It evolved before the chapter Gold and Black vs. Team Rocket. In Pokemon Adventures, Yellow's Caterpie named Kitty evolved into Metapod in The Might of Metapod, and then evolved again during her showdown with Lance in the same chapter. Bugsy has two Metapod in this series. One made its appearance in the chapter Fighting Symbols Unknown when Bugsy met Gold in the Ruins of Alph. That same Metapod comes back in One Angry Ursaring when Bugsy meets up with Gold in the bottom of Slowpoke Well. His second Metapod was used alongside his first one when Bugsy was battling against Suicune in Heads-On Heracross. They helped by stretching the capture net's capture thread over Suicune's body, but were tossed aside, allowing Suicune to escape. Lastly, game appearances. Would you be surprised if I said Bugsy had one in the games too? Bugsy, like I said, is the second gym leader in Johto, specializing in bug types. He has a level 14 male Metapod in Gold, Silver, and Crystal, and a level 15 female in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Now just the last minute fun facts about Metapod. It shares the category name as well as base stat total, learn set as in learning Harden, ability, and EV yield with Kakuna, Silcoon, and Cascoon. This makes them all tied with the lowest base stat total. Also, since I mentioned Kakuna, Metapod's prototype name was Cocoon, and Kakuna's prototype name was Metapod. There was a special Pokemon card called the Gym Pokemon Card Set, and it featured Metapod with an alternate color scheme being gray instead of green. And lastly, Metapod evolves into Butterfree at level 10, which we will talk about next time. But before I go, here is today's question. True or false? Before Pikachu, Clefairy was going to be the series mascot. Come back next time to find out. Until then, this has been Professor Pokemon, and hope to teach you again soon.